What's good, people? This is episode 155. Who do I have today? That guy looks like an Ian Satterfield. Actually, let's turn on this little Facebook thing. That looks like Ian Satterfield. I look like Jason DeBeas. The episode starts right now. What's up, man? What's up, Ian?
Thanks for having me, man. Stoked to be here.
Hold up. I can't do it that way. I can't just sneak through the front door. I got to kick the front door. You have asked, and now you shall receive, because for me, I've got to give the people what they want. This man is a Mira Costa standout and a Long Beach State University rock star, a main draw attraction. Not that he's attractive, which is also true, but a main draw attraction. My man, Ian Satterfield. How's that? That's a better delivery.
And the crowd goes wild.
Oh,
That's the Jason I know. That's the Jason I know.
Yeah, you're like,
go.
what happened
We're
to
back.
this old dude, man?
Like, hey, cameras come on, you get all timmy. Come on now.
Yo, so before we got on camera, I guess in addition to a slew of things we were talking about, I'd like to work from present to past and then hit the rewind button. So right now, you got some international stuff coming up. Talk to me about what's coming up next. You got something on December 9th, but something else before that, right?
Oh, man, I got so much going on. I leave Sunday for 3 weeks. I'm going out to Florida, coaching a Better at Beach clinic for a week out in St. Pete.
Nice.
Flying straight from there to Austin for a pro event, 4-person event called No Scrubs at Moon Tower.
No scrubs.
Yeah,
Yes.
a bunch of top AVP players are going to be there, not including myself, but I'll be there. No, I'm just kidding. But no, honestly, the talent there's going to be some really sick ballers, so it's a great experience for everyone involved. If you're in the Austin area, definitely go check it out. Moon Tower Saloon, November 5th. And then I'm going a couple days in Austin, training with my volleyball community friends out there, and then flying straight from there to the Cayman Islands, playing in a NORCECA event with Jake Arudia.
Jersey Jake.
Yep. So, yeah, we've been training together. It's funny. And I hope you're cool with this tangent. He and I had both been playing with partners who were out of state for the majority of this summer season. So, naturally, we both needed a partner to train with when we were here. So we actually practiced a lot together this summer. And then at the end of the season, we ended up parting ways with our own partners. And we're like, dude, why don't we just play together? We've been training together this whole time anyway.
That's so, yeah.
And we were playing well. That was another thing. Like, we were finding success against the teams that we were playing against and still are. And that's kind of just how the partnership started. I don't know if you want me to go into some of the things that I like or any of that stuff, or I'm getting too early. Or
well, actually, we're definitely like to talk about that. But as a segue, I'd like to say that you teaming up with Jake, it's a nice, warm, personal place in my heart. A lot of people know because I talk about me a lot. Jake was one of the few people that. I was his coach at Hermosa Beach, him and Earl Schultz. And that was Jake's first qualifier for the main draw. And we're going to talk about yours later too. And that was really, really cool because to me as a coach, that felt like pure meritocracy as opposed to like Rafu and Kevin, right? Where, they're going to make it anyway. And there's also about like me being a New Yorker where it didn't make me feel like an imposter in the tent because right? No one has a problem with you because you weren't given a team. You punched your own ticket. So Jake is 33% responsible for that for me. So for him, I'm eternally grateful. I like his brother, Marcus, pretty cool guy. And I got a chance to talk to him more in California than I did in New York. So getting into what you were going to talk about, I saw some significant improvement on one, his court vision, his ability to take care of first hit and then lock on to what's across the net. Because some people have trouble doing that, and some people wind up waiting for the set and doing this and this. Look like a damn baseball pitcher, for Christ's sake. And
gonna get tired.
That's you. That work. I know, right? Neck muscles is jacked, boy. Yeah. So one of the things I thought his court vision got better after first contact because what I was trying to show him, first contact, look across, and then once you look across, get used to your peripheral staying there, now that you're following the ball. And if you train your eyes to do that, now you see the block, now you see the digger, now you see that girl, who's been following you every game, on the back line
You're
behind
like,
the defender.
I was gonna highline, but now I
Yeah.
gotta bounce it.
Yeah, it's out. So what?
It looked great. It looked great.
And so do you, girl. Happily married, guys. But
Single.
yeah,
Straight
single,
and single, yeah.
single. So give me one thing. Well, my question is twofold, but let's start with one. Give me one thing you saw slight improvement since you started to talk training with Jake. I'm not talking about significant improvement. I'm not talking about revolution, because you didn't have enough time to do that. But were there any of these small evolutions where you're like, all right, wow, since we started training together, he got that, he got this.
Yeah, so we've actually been doing some one-on-one sessions or like 3-person sessions where we just go down, drill, and work on some things. And we've been working on his defense, so that's definitely something that's come along. He's making a lot better reads. We're trusting each other's reads a little bit more now versus like kind of sticking to a call and trusting the call. And so he's already a good hard-driven digger.
Right.
But now he's starting to make more reads on the run. Like, okay, he's seeing a cut shot and picking it up, or seeing a high line, even though that's not the play call. And that was something that and I don't mean to offend anyone, but some of my previous partners struggled with, was getting away from the play call. And once you're there, being able to just make a read from that play call versus just trusting that they're going to shoot it to you, or, do something that you want them to do.
Right.
Versus like anticipating and like reading and trying to see where they want to put the ball.
Does that generate more from someone knowing what their limitations are?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Yeah, there's plenty of things that can cause limitations on attackers. So it's kind of like going down like a checklist of things that this person can and wants to do in almost like a split second, or maybe a couple seconds, because you're reading the play, their approach, the set. And you're kind of just like, okay, well, if the set's here according to like their approach and everything, you're like, well, I can check off that they're not going to do this, right? And then you can start kind of like narrowing it down as to like what their options are. And I think kind of going against what I'm saying, some of the best volleyball players are able to, instead of narrow that down, keep that fan wide. And I can only speak because I've played with him for 4 years in college, but I think Taylor Crabb is one of the best people at maintaining that fan being wide. And I played against Sander again the entire college career, and same thing. Like, our scouting report was like, he can hit everywhere. Like, that's fine. He's going to get his kills, but we're going to have to find ways to try to make him uncomfortable and score our own points. So those two, in my opinion, are really good at getting their feet to the ball, keeping it in a good spot on their shoulder, and then having a lot of options when they're attacking. And I think that's why they're really good.
No, but in terms of defense, dude, that was let me tell you something. That was very useful for a lot of people listening, because some people go about that another way, but I think there should be like a base fundamental way to at least launch from, and I like that, and that's definitely worth sharing. Now, from a defensive perspective, knowing your limitations, is it a ball that some people can't believe they can get to because they're not practiced enough, or have they practiced it to a point where they're like, it's not going to happen, and they find themselves cheating and playing out of position and this and that. So, like, one of Jake's weaknesses on defense, and this is the reason why he had a hard time with hard drivens, he on his original base one, we'll just call it base one, guys. Base one is cross court position off the one block. Base one indoor, different thing, right? Base 1, 2, and 3. So base one, off the one block, he's facing the hitter. But then on his twitch, he does this. He faces a little bit more towards the net. So now on the shots, his line of pursuit is only two-dimensional. It's here where the cut can go past him or drop in where he'd have to make a second move. Or here, where the jumbo goes over or drops, where he'd have to make a second move or a third move. And Jake, at a certain level, Jake has been able to make 2 moves and still get away with it. But the higher the level you play, the more you're like, this is going to suck unless I fix this. Like we played the McKibbins in the first round of the main draw, and Riley was on the sauce that day, man. Because not only did he get digs, but it was Jake's worst game he's ever played in his life, But I guess my question to you is, he's way too young to be saying he can or can't do something. So do you think him not being able to pursue that was not him testing his limitations until this point?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question properly.
I'll give it a shot at answering it anyway.
Well, for me, if I'm interpreting that question as like what was stopping him from getting that ball, there are still times that even in today's practice where he's making the right read, but he kind of just stops.
Right.
And he knows it. And he says it out loud. He's like, I just got to go for the ball. I can't stop.
Right.
And this is not only something that he struggles with, but a lot of players struggle with. And sometimes when I'm playing defense and those...
I was going to get to you in a minute.
Yeah. There are moments where I do that too. But there are a few things that like my parents have told me. Both my parents played volleyball. Actually, both of them went to Long Beach State as well. They didn't force me to go there. I chose to go there.
Sure they didn't force you to go there.
So, but one thing that they talk about always is like just running through the ball. And they're like, dude, you used to do it indoor, right? You do a coach on one and the coach throws a tip. What do? Do you stop and like, no, you
literally keep going and then you dive like a whole second half. Yes.
Right. So they're like, don't stop short just to play the ball. They're like, just go through the ball. So that's maybe something that will help him and other players is that, rather than stopping short just to like get there, think about it, maybe not quite to the extreme, but like you can just imagine like indoor, you're going for a tip, like you're sprinting and then you're going through the ball. You don't stop at the sprint. So, or like even a pancake indoor.
Yeah. It's also good for the sport to do that. Like one of my least favorite things is watching a men's game and maybe someone to shoot line over like jumbo, and then they gotta take one step and be like, nah, it's not gonna happen. I'm like, boring. Yeah, I said it was the camera. Boring. And this is why, honestly, like women's, look, we're only allowed 2 teams in the Olympics. There's going to be like 3 or 4 disappointed teams that are not going to represent the U.S.
that are really good.
Yes.
Yeah. That could all be there. Yeah.
Only Brazil is in the same situation as us, where there were 2 teams in, and I'm like, wait, what's her name? Wow. You can only allow 2 teams, right? Mullen Sorum, good for you. I mean, you don't even have a goddamn tan, So, yeah. So what about some of the things you thought he did well?
Jake.
Or is doing well? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things for me that I look for in a partner who's a defender is someone who not only gets digs, but is able to transition out of them and score points in transition.
Right.
So that's something that I like about Jake, and this could be part of his East Coast thing, but he plays with his hip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I like that.
That helps.
So when he gets a dig in transition, he's looking to score. And I love that.
Yeah. It's almost like, it's weird because when he's on and he gets a dig, you almost expect him to score. I mean, at a higher level, like you ever see Ahmed? When Ahmed gets a dig, or even Taylor, when Taylor gets a dig, fans, they're at the edge of their seat because they know they have this anticipation of what's going to come next. They just don't know the how. They know the point's going to be scored. They're like, what's he going to do this time? Ahmed, there's no spoiler alert on that. He's not a shooter. He's a killer. He's going to bomb it somewhere. He on my list of defenders is 1 or 1A. Maybe behind Christian Sorum or maybe even Lupo. But yeah. But so that's what you like about Jake right now?
Yeah, and this might offend people and I don't mean to, but here's something that I believe is that he's never really had someone who could give him the set that he needed.
No.
So
I can't think of one partner. Earl,
And
I mean,
don't mean to offend people.
No, but with
by
Earl,
that,
Earl being the best one, that's no.
But
No, it's being real.
like when I set him the ball, I'm like, dude, how can you not side out on this? Like you have like half the court open and like you're not stressed. Like sometimes I'll set tight, but like for the most part, it's pretty good. So, you know, when his passing is decent, like we're in system a lot. And then it's like, well, what are they going to do? Serve me? And then like when my passing is good enough, like, and I keep the ball in front of me, then I'm siding out. And then, you know, so.
And Jake doesn't cut corners on setting technique either. Like I've seen him. There are some guys that they're flinging it this way because they have a great relationship with their partner. But I literally see Jake move his feet around, shoulders to the pole, you know.
That is something that actually is a great point that I forgot. He bump setting is ridiculous. Like there's some plays that like I thought that, oh, maybe I passed it like high into the net, and somehow he like gets his platform on it, and it's like a great set with spin on it. I'm like,
yeah.
What the? Oh, sorry.
It's all right. We're already in it. We're going to talk about gay defenders in addition to our language. But yeah, inside joke. But yeah, I think he gets that from indoor. You know, he was an indoor starter at Rutgers University. They had pretty decent coaching out there. I don't remember who his coach was, but I know Carl France was there a little bit. But talking about offending people, I didn't think Carl was a real coach back then. I think he's a real coach now. You know, he's a guy. He's a coach that knew X's and O's, but not about. We both know that it's not about that. I think that's what made your coach Alan Knipe so good. He's very good with personalities. He's very good with presenting players their options, right, on missed plays. I really appreciate that guy.
Yeah, he's great at a lot of things.
Yeah, he is. So let's make a mental note for Alan Knipe because I want to finish with you. What's one of the things you've seen significant improvement in your game? Like just not with Jake, but just the year 2022. You're like, okay, I think I got a little bit better with my serve to space, my constant pressure, me being able to see the court after whatever, me being able to holding my platform in his dig. You know, what's something you saw? I know I'm talking.
Bro, you answered it for me.
No, you only get to pick one.
I was going to say all three of those. Yeah. Yeah. I would honestly say just my vision, attacking, and we don't even have to say the whole year. We could say the last month, last 2 weeks, right? What was the difference, right? Versus like, oh, I'm going to go up, either do a predetermined swing or try to just be super athletic and do something that they can't stop, right? Swing high hands, whatever, right? Or listen to my partner's call. But as you start playing against higher level teams, you can't get away with that because they're reading and they're a lot better. And so you have to actually know where you're putting the ball, you know, and like do it with a purpose and execute getting that ball there. So for me, from the right side, as a right-handed attacker, that can be a lot of difficulty for people trying to see the court, right? That ball is crossing your body. If you pass anywhere off the net, it's coming over your shoulder into your approach. Yeah. Do you come in at an angle? Do you kick in? What do you do? Right? Excuse me, right? So for me, I've been playing around with different styles of approaches and just figuring out what's the best way that I can just literally keep the ball in front of me. You just see everything.
Yeah, it's a win.
See, I grew up having great coaches, and I'm putting a but here, but the thing that I must have either forgotten or didn't understand, they would always tell me to reach high and swing deep. Great advice. The issue was like I didn't really learn or adopt the proper way to do it. So like I would always hit at my highest point, which would mean that the ball would be like here and like, and the ball would be really high above my shoulder, but like where are my eyes, right? So maybe the only thing I could see as I'm hitting is the block in my peripheral, but like, honestly, there's not a ton of vision because you're looking up at the ball, right? But if you just move that like 6 inches forward at least, yeah, maybe your contact point isn't higher, but you have more options and you have more vision.
Yeah, and there's so many. Think about all the things that come into play when someone tells you to reach high and not negotiate the how, right? Like, there's also follow through, right? You're reaching high. What's the first thing you do when you're reaching high? You don't follow through. It's the same way you do, right? You stop your swing, and what happens when players stop their swing? The ball luft balloons. So you're going deep, all right.
Dude, I'm a big fundamental coach guy. I've worked with some of the best coaches in my opinion, and so maybe what I do now isn't what I coach, because this information is only information that I've gotten the last 3 years. So I'm trying to change 15 years of habits, right, with new information and adopting it into my game without actually having it coached to me, which is interesting. So it's a work in progress. But if we're talking about hitting high deep, right, there's a reason why my arm swing technique is the way it is, and it's because of that, right? So I'm using my double arm lift, but from here I go here and then swing, right? So if you think about it, I'm not really getting that elbow back, getting my upper body open, right? It's all like pec, lat, shoulder, like here, right? Yeah, and there might be like some like rotation.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but my hips aren't involved.
I'll help your shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah. Like I'm lucky I got good genes. I've trained hard, whatever, like my shoulder's good. But like other people who don't do that stuff and they're hitting like that, shoulder pain for sure.
Gone.
Yeah. So
in a year, probably, yeah.
So that's why like even now I'm trying to just work on getting that like different draw, get my elbow back and my chest open, right? Even on the right side, right? Even that ball's coming over my shoulder, whatever, like open up so I can have maybe that line swing wrist away back to the line if they dive a 4 on me, right? Or just more power because I can have my body into it. So just some things I'm working on right now.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. LJ Luciano on Facebook says, getting technical today.
I'm like,
there's our
dude,
comment.
I'm like the most, I break it down, had great coaches.
Some of the things I use as a teaching tool to get to where you are right now, because I coach and am coaching, have coached and am coaching on all levels. Juniors, club. Actually, my whole club has been in California. The extent of my coaching club experience has been all here, because in New York, because in New York, the real coaches are actually the high school coaches. They become assistants to teachers or whatever. And the weird thing, that is so weird, because it's the opposite. Like Sachem High School, like some of these schools in Long Island. I was at Hunter High School. Some great coaches there, Mike Salick, Justin Stack. But what I used to teach my kids is have a visualization first, right? Let's say they want to hit cross court. I'm like, literally before the play, look at that spot on the court, right? So now you see the spot on the court. And when you jump, if it's there, take it. And then if it's not, now you're scanning. Now you're scanning split seam, now you're splitting in seam, or maybe just outright line. And it's because people on the court move all the time, but does the spot stay the same? The answer is yes. So as a junior's teaching tool, to get to where you are, where you're just making in-air decisions and letting your not just your natural talent, but your reach and your volleyball IQ. Go ahead.
Your court sense.
Yes, your court sense.
Because now I don't have to look at it because I've got
you've looked at it so many times
thousands
of looks,
thousands of reps. Yeah, that I know where it is based on where I am and where I hit the ball.
Yeah, and I only brought that up because the people listening, they may have no idea what level we're talking about as far as these teaching tools are concerned.
Yeah, well, I've been playing since I'm 12 and I'm 31.
Yeah.
I've been playing at a very high level my whole life. So maybe not on paper right now, AVP, I'm like top 10, but in my mind.
For you, I say good for you. We're talking about what other people can learn from you that they may or may not be ready for.
Right.
Do you want a junior learning what you're knowing now? Knowing it, yes.
Steps. Yes. There's steps because I've learned, because I've coached for over 10 years as well. I've learned that there's progressions. Some information you can give them and is better actually to start them off. Like for indoor, I love angle passing even from a young age. But there's some things like hitting and stuff that they just maybe aren't strong enough because they're so young and like aren't coordinated enough to actually be able to go through the motion in a controlled setting. And that's
Right.
fine. So you have to try to adapt and figure out ways to still, protect their shoulder and get them to hit the ball where you want it to go.
You coached for 10 years? Would you
least.
start coaching at 6 or something?
Dude, I know. I look young, but yeah, I've been coaching for a while.
Yeah, me too. Someone asked me how long you've been coaching, and I went like this.
I don't even count anymore.
I just went,
Years,
and they just go, oh, that long. I just went. That look like you've been in this like corporation and that little promotion you've been waiting for like 10 years, and it's like, how long you worked here? They're just like, oh, okay, got it. No, I definitely appreciate that, and I appreciate. And I totally lost my train of thought because I was just having a good time
talking
talking
about
shit.
steps and coaching and young players able to receive and apply
Yes,
feedback.
yes. A little caveat, like you see players that look like they're not strong enough, right? But then you see players who are skinny as hell, who are hitting the ball hard too, which makes you re-examine technique versus strength and conditioning. Not versus, because they shouldn't be oppositional. They're more like kissing cousins, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Meaning they should go together. It's not like you're choosing. It's not a false.
I don't know about that statement, but
It's not a false dichotomy.
I think
they're binary.
I think
in other
they
words.
can work in cooperation with one another. I think that
He's like still trying to get over this kissing cousins thing.
yeah, it's weird. It's weirding me out.
You're going to Texas.
Bro.
You need to educate yourself, boy.
Bro, going to Austin. It's
Austin,
like a
yeah.
little asterisk. So anyway, I think a strong training background can work well with technique work.
Yeah. Who do you usually train with in Austin?
Bunch of people. Garrett Denny is the first person who usually figures out a place to host me when I'm out there. So super cool. But we get out with Jarrell, Rafa,
I love Rafa.
Taylor Hughes, Bobby Jones, just the whole Austin community, whoever's down to get out and get better, have some fun.
You had me at Bobby Jones. He's so cool. Bobby, I met in New York. He was a model. He was modeling in New York, and I met him. And came to Central Park, and I had karaoke night in the building that he had an apartment above. So he just came downstairs to see what all the noise is about, and it's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, dude, I sing. That's what I do. And he's like, all right, I'm going to sign. He signed up for the Humpty Dance or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
he probably danced. Yeah.
But talk about a guy who found his mission statement and what he wants to do with his life and how he can do it doing something that he loves and knows, and like Project Serve.
Yeah, I love it. Out in the domain. I was actually literally
doesn't that make you emotional?
wearing that shirt. I was wearing the
Yeah.
Project Serve shirt. I love it. Honestly, the best fitting shirt that I own. It's like a large, but just fits me perfectly. Yeah. Anyway, wear it all the time.
I'm doing a documentary called Club Coach, and he was my stop in Austin.
Sick.
I visited 13 different cities, and he was yeah. I also went to Denver. Were you the AVP in Denver?
No, I was in Europe.
Oh, you were in Europe.
U.S. Goodwill Military Tour.
Wow.
Yeah, with Ty Trambly, Brittany Teagues, and Allie Denny. That was awesome.
It has to be.
Do you know anything about it?
Yes, I'm ex-military.
Oh,
I played on the All-Army team. I tried out for that team. They flew me to Fort Benjamin Harris in a little 22-day training camp, and I made that team. So
sick.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, they found first military communities in Germany, where all the bases are, have a great conglomerate of volleyball players, predominantly guys from Ala Samoa, Filipinos, Guam. That's the biggest Guamanians I've ever seen in the short-stricken country. And, I ended up playing for a team called Darmstadt. And then that's how the Army scouted me. And then from there, that's how our German team scouted me. So I ended up playing indoor. But I love it. Did you get to play any of those teams? Did you get to play the Air Force team, or did you get to play the Army team, or?
Great question. We only went to, no, I shouldn't say only. We primarily went to Army bases.
Okay.
So at each base, the first half of the day was usually spent touring the base, learning about what they did, meeting the troops, and just going around bringing good vibes and recruiting people to come out to our volleyball sessions in the afternoon and evening.
Nice.
It was great. just got to do a bunch of cool things.
Yeah, a bunch of guys in shape that want to learn how to play. You'd be surprised how fast they catch on.
Oh yeah, and they're just pumped with testosterone, ready to like talk smack and beat down. And
who's got balls?
they're like, we're gonna beat the pros. They always say that, and it's hilarious. So it's fun. So yeah, the second half of the day we would start with like a little bit of a clinic, kind of just to get the foundation, because each base probably had like one or two people that were actually like good at volleyball, but everyone else couldn't even get three touches and get the ball over the net. So for the one or two people that were actually good, they're like, this isn't even fun. I don't want to do it. So, so for me as a coach, I was like, let's try to get these people so that they can at least, get 3 contacts, right? Mm-hmm. So it's enjoyable, decently enjoyable for these troops who are good. So, anyway, so we did clinics and then always ended it with playing with the pros or against the pros. Sometimes we'd be mixed in with them. Sometimes we'd play like 4-on-6. Man, the most ridiculous story. So we're at this one base. It was really cool because they hyped it up. Like they like barbecues and everything, or live music.
Was it Fort Benning? Was it Georgia?
No, we were in Poland.
Oh, okay. No. Okay.
So we went to Poland, Romania, and Kosovar, I believe is how it's pronounced, but spelled Kosovo.
Kosovar.
Yeah. So I believe it was at a Polish base. It was one of the earlier ones that we went to. And they did a great job of hyping it up. They had, I want to say 2 courts with well over 60 people. We had too many people. It was amazing. So
you're like, how many coaches are there again?
Right. It was perfect though, honestly. Right. So at the end, it was pros versus Joes, and 4 versus 6. And this man comes up to me. He's 6'8" from Jamaica. He comes up. He's like, hey, is it cool if I play on your guys' team? And I'm like, I'm down, but I'm going to check with those guys to see if they're down.
Yeah, because you know how volleyball players are.
Yeah, so...
No, because in our mind, everyone says they can play. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I've never seen this guy play. He's wearing pants and not warmed up at all. And so I go over to the tallest guy on the other team. He's a 6'7" basketball player. And I was like, hey, man, I want to say his name's Julian, wants to play with us on our team. Are you guys okay with that? He's like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, sweet. First play. They serve us. I set this ball 50-50. He's playing on the right side. Turns out, this guy's a lefty. And just OT bounces it 5-foot line. First play of the game. We lost it. I was airplaning around the court, oh my gosh. It was.
Did you say his name was Julian?
I want to say his name was Julian. It's been a while.
No, because there was someone on our national team named Julian.
Well, he's actually a soccer player. Yeah.
They played, I don't know if he played opposite, and I sure as hell don't know if he's lefty, but how much of a coincidence would that have been?
Right. So, yeah.
You'll never know.
Yeah, man. After that, I was like, man, hey, I'm trying to make the move to defender. When you're done, hit me up.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So our job was honestly bring the good volley and the good vibes, and I thought that we executed that job damn well.
I think the combination of people who were employed for this mission were qualified, to put it the best way I know how. I'm trying not to talk all slang. I'm trying not to make any references.
No,
you don't
that's fair.
anymore.
But I mean, look at
but
Ty
when you
Tremblay,
have Ty Tremblay, you have Tiggs, you have you guys. You guys are and you guys are the most perfectly qualified people for that particular mission. Yeah. There's no one. I can't think of anyone better. There's no one better.
It was a blast. We have so many inside jokes from that trip. It's absurd. And the people who hosted us and the guys like Brian who took us around, it was an incredible experience. Highly recommended to anyone. Not only do you get to make some money doing it, but it's so rewarding. Literally going over to Europe on the border countries of Ukraine and literally just going to hype people up. like
Yes.
morale boosting. Like,
There we go.
And they're the guys that need it, and they're the guys like right there. It's nuts. So like, you know, you just feel great because you're like, dude, these guys were just, you walk into the rec room and they're just kind of like doing their thing or playing video games. You go in, you're like, yo, you guys want to play some volley? And then it's like, oh, I don't know, dude, I'm too cool. And then you're like, just come out, you'll be fine. And then you come out and they just have a blast every time. They're like, oh my God, I had so much fun. Like, I'm so glad I did it.
The three things that make the best soldier. This is am I qualified? Yeah. Well, yeah, I am. Check the hardware behind you. I served. Okay, as did every male member of my family. So the three things that make a good soldier: one, you have to have an escapism. You check that box. All right. You have to have these moments of where you can see a humorous side to the most dire of circumstances. That's why when you watch Band of Brothers and like all the bombs were blowing up, they were laughing because it looked like the 4th of July. And they're just like, you know, you see like, you know, like the rocket's red glare, a whole thing, and you're like wowed by it. And then you hear medic and then you're back into reality. And the third thing, I did 1, 2, accept your fate. Like if you're in a situation, don't worry. You can't be out there worrying about the worst case scenario because you worrying about the worst case scenario. It increases the chances of happening, and it also increases the chances of happening to somebody else. You doing your job supposed to be consequential to what happens to them too. So accepting your fate, because fate doesn't really mean anything when you think about it. Go ahead.
I think that's a solid argument. I don't agree with it.
Sure.
And here's a corny reference to why.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Dwayne Johnson, the actor?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock, for those of you guys who don't know.
Well, all the way back from University of Miami, yeah. He won a national championship there for football.
So he did a movie when I was growing up called Scorpion King. Have you seen it?
Yep.
So there's one scene that
I'm here for the girl in your head. Go on, Ian.
It's a terribly great movie, and in it was his fate to not do something, or else if he did it, he would die.
Right.
Some witch could see the future, and she tells him, she's like, hey, like this is gonna happen. And then like the girl that loves him, no, don't go, you're gonna die. He's like, I make my own fate.
Right.
And that stuck with me since I ever saw that. Yeah.
I agree with that to an extent that your fate should never determine what your goals are. Like if your goal is to win a tournament, no, if your expectation is to win a tournament, really your goal is just doing your job and taking care of things, right? So goal and expectations are two different things. Accepting you're already dead in a World War II situation makes you perform better as a soldier.
I would agree with that 100%. That is a beautiful statement.
But I like what you said. Like, you can't look. Our whole lives, we have friends and people we don't know where people are telling you're never going to amount to anything. So I get what you're saying. You coach 10 years, and I'm guessing a lot of that is juniors, because there's no way in hell a guy whose baby faces you, they're just going to give a professional college job to. So I'm sure you are the type of coach that probably looked a kid in the eye and said, don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. And I don't know how we stumbled onto this, but I'm glad we did, because this bears repeating. This bears parroting and echoing that sentiment. Because there are too many coaches out there that line up these kids against the wall. Okay, you're tall, you're going to do this. You want to be an outside hitter, forget it. Whatever, and this and that. And that's not. I'm with you. And this is where I got to disagree with myself, if that's where we were going as far as cross-reference is concerned. If a kid's 5'9", an outside hitter's a 5'11" or 6 feet, I will tell them, you're undersized for the position. But if this is what you really want, if you want this bad enough, those are the bleacher stairs. That's the box. Let's get to work.
Find ways to score.
Let's get to work, because when
team.
you think about it, at the end of the day, the people who win Player of the Year or tournament MVPs are not the people who fit the stereotype of that position. No, look no further than the guy you played with, right?
We didn't even make MPSF, and he got Player of the Year at 6 feet.
Well, that's some good old boy there, but I think he probably deserved it,
It was like watching a man play amongst kids.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the That was. I watched a little bit of that, and it looked like he could do no wrong.
It was fun.
Yeah. He's the dirty white boy. He's the original dirty white boy. He's awesome. You don't know what that means either, but that's okay.
Yeah,
but
before my time, yeah.
Foreigner. Well, I'll tell that story about Taylor later, but I think it's as a caveat that we can't emphasize enough, like coaches out there, because we're having this conversation, but we also have people listening to. Don't be out there telling kids what they can and can't do. Be real with them. You can show them their reality, what they look like, what the other person the position, what coaches are looking for, what they think that person's supposed to look like. But don't just tell them it's unfair, but don't tell them it's not doable. Tell them it's more difficult. It's going to be more difficult, but don't tell them it's not doable. Tell them they got to run 150 meters for that 100-meter dash, but don't tell them they can't do it. And I gotta, in that respect, and in connection to that ridiculously bad but so good movie, The Scorpion King. I'm with you. I'm with Ian. I'm with Ian Satterfield. Nice. Now, I talked about some of the things you did well. Or we discussed some of the things that you shown exponential growth in as a player and on and off the court, and I appreciate that. Now, talk to me about some things, one or two things that you want to do a little bit better coming into November, December, as you start to play international man of mystery again and travel around.
For sure. One thing is blocking, right? That is my job. So I need to get more blocks. I think everyone can say that.
Dude, I did blocking. I was coaching. I'm coaching some adults, and that's all I did the last 2 days. I even practiced on a lower net, so just so we could get more reps, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Mm-hmm. So going back to what we touched on earlier as far as like getting things done versus technique. I've noticed that over my career, I've adopted certain habits biomechanically blocking. So I feel like my technique blocking habitually is more traditional technique where my hands are outside, I'm coming wide, and then I'm finishing somewhere to where I think that ball's going to go, right? The issue with that is if that ball is not where I want it to go, now my arms are straight, and to move, right, it takes more time and energy versus having more kind of relaxed, bent arms, and now you can react more, right? Another downside to that is if your hands aren't in front of your face early enough, guess what happens?
Go ahead. I know.
You end up on someone else's Instagram.
Yeah. Your third hand comes into play.
Yeah. So I don't like it when that happens to me. So I'm working on figuring out ways to protect my face and score more points. So mostly stopping this like super wide butterfly stroke like block and trying to just more keep my hands in front and then press into where I think the ball is going. So it's a crazy process because like I know what I want to do, but physically doing it and having that mind-body connection and actually adopting it and getting over 19 years of bad habits or old habits, it's a work in progress. So that's something that, in my opinion, once I get down, is going to score a lot more points and get a lot more momentum for whoever is on my side of the net. And I think that'll be huge when I go start playing these guys overseas.
Right. The simplest thing I've learned about blocking when I played in Germany was my coach always just said ball, hitter, ball. So ball, you see where the ball's being set and you see the hitter. And once you see where the hitter is, once you see the player, and this is indoor, which translated very well to beach. This is why a lot of these indoor guys who go to the beach have not immediate success, but they're a step further than in that process than the other things. Ball, hitter, ball. The ball goes up, you see the hitter, and once you see the hitter, ball, because hitter body language is what gets you in trouble in blocking. Hitter
When you're done, finish your
I'm still straight. I'm not gay. Oh, you have another question. I have not been able to fluster this guy. This guy is ready for me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we've been friends.
No.
We've been friends for some time.
We have.
So I get you.
No respect. Go ahead. What's your question?
But I am a little flustered because the question, I forgot it now.
No, you have a question about blocking, about ball, hitter, ball. And I got in the hitter body language.
We're back. Nice. Thank you. Is there something after ball for you and the people who coached you or that you coach?
Yes. Videotape, scouting the hitter, knowing hitters' tendencies, knowing when to play chess, and knowing when to play checkers. But if you're ball, hitter, ball, your discipline and your responsibility, and discipline and responsibility is 10 times more important on the beach, right, than indoor. Indoor, you do have help from the middle. You got an army of guys back there playing defense.
You don't have wind, sun, rain.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Those aren't even lurking variables. Those are like obvious variables.
Disciplined.
Yeah,
because if you're not, you can't get that ball a certain spot. But indoor, you don't have those elements.
So, for example, what I've learned and what I teach and will give some success against a base one block. If the hitter's like one of those guys that likes to open up this way, where their shoulders here, right hand in his face. My thing just unplugged, but you can still hear me. Right hand in his face. The further the ball is away from the net, the more the left hand presses over so he doesn't shave your armpits. And the tighter it is, the more both hands come together after the ball. So that's just part of the scouting report that supplement, or depending on the level of play, instrumental.
I think that's great.
To ball, hitter, ball. That's just an example. I mean, two ball or whatever. I could teach technique and this and that and But my first job as a coach, an NCAA coach, I was a blocking coach. They're like, dude, this guy played in Europe, and back then I was 260 pounds. They're like, how's this fat guy? And my New Yorkers who follow this, they're laughing right now because they've all been in that situation. How do they get blocked by this barrel-bodied, skinny-armed, chubby dude, man? Yeah. So, but that's it. Ball. You'll be surprised. It's a practice technique that works in a game. This is why you see a lot of coaches hold the ball up and have people jump and grab and pull the ball back. USA team is doing that in Hermosa Beach, and I personally saw them start doing it after they saw me because I'm two courts away every morning, and I'm like, oh, cool. Original Jose. No, but Jose Loyola. God bless that man's soul because he's a winner. The guy has a winner's mentality. So what he lacked in coaching ability, he made up in just being a freaking winner. It's a great teaching tool that translates into the court where you're like, the people watching you don't know because you're in the game and you're just getting blocks and you're just doing Ian Satterfield things. But the people watching you are like, dude, I saw him at practice doing some stuff. I want to learn that. I want to learn that.
Some ridiculous
stuff. So yeah,
today.
So two things you could take with you. For me as a coach, and in many ways I'm qualified. In many ways I'm not because I don't know you and your tendencies and this and that. But as a general way, I go ball, hitter, ball, and a lot of those drills where where you're reaching this way, it gets rid of this because to grab it you can do this, but what happens when you come down? You're hitting, the ball's hitting the tape or you're hitting the tape on the way down. So this, boom, snatch it up. Probably flies behind your head if you don't grip it wide. But it's a great teaching tool, and I've been teaching that, and it's helped people significantly. It's helped Earl, because Earl's always been one of those guys that can jump high, but wasn't getting blocks, right? Kevin, he's got like T-Rex arms. Kevin McCulloch, he's got like arms like a T-Rex. So, and we worked out some things, even though that time I learned more from him because when I moved here in 2016, I had to learn. Look, I'm indoor at the beach. I got to learn from some people. So he invited me to Temecula, and him and Rafu, 2-hour training session, played a little king at the end. Nice. Rob McLean came. Rob McLean came and finished 3-0 on King. I don't mean to air people's laundry because these games are supposed to be secret, but it's 6 years later, so I could spill the beans.
So that's why they're playing so well in the AVP events. They're pissed.
Yes, we can't let this guy with the ponytail from Long Island, an Afro ponytail. I got to show you the video. Actually, I did highlights on YouTube. He would get an ace, and I'm like, oh, cool serve. Boom, second serve. Ooh, that had some movement on it. Whoom, third, four. The guy got like 5 aces out of 7 serves. Wow. And I was like, wow, I can actually win one game.
Yeah. And that's a very good passing team too.
Yeah.
To score on.
Yeah, that's a team that they I think in Manhattan Beach they lost the first round, but they won 4 straight contenders bracket matches.
Yeah, I mean, I played them in Seattle when they
beat them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
wait, you were there playing games.
I was the round to get in. Yeah, and we tried every serve and could not get them out of system.
Right. And what do? Do you just cut your losses and try to block the person that has the least amount of reach?
Try to do something you're not doing already because what you're doing is not working.
No. Nah. I mean, for those two, anyone that beats them is just the better team because I don't see too many angles against Raffle. He's so experienced. Ian. So speaking of experience, you're traveling. You're going to the Caymans. All right. Say hi to my bank teller. Flirting after checking my account.
Oh my don't want to be saying that on YouTube. Yeah.
LOL to the bank checking my account.
Oh my goodness.
Bank teller flirting after checking my account. You've been to Lima.
I have been to Lima.
Was at the Pan Am Games.
Yep, 2019.
And your partner is the real international man of mystery. Say it with me. Mark Burek.
Guy's everywhere. I don't even know where he is right now. Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. He could be upstairs with the parents right now, outside of the studio. Talk to me about, let's just be a little nostalgic. Talk about some of the fun things that you land in Lima. It's this place where where you're just big man amongst tiny people. Right, because Hermosa Beach, like a bunch of Ian Satterfields, y'all almost the same height, right? But you're in this place that loves volleyball, by the way. Lima is big on volleyball, dude. I remember when I went there, they beat Cuba 3 sets to 2. So talk to me about being in Lima for the Pan Am Games. Talk about some of it could be boring stuff too. Talk about some churches. Talk about some artifacts. I was there for Peru. I was in Peru for 11 days, but I want to talk about you. Now I want to talk about me. I want to talk about you.
Yeah. So I think most people might be interested in what happens in the village, right? Like for me, I always thought that the Olympic Village was such a cool concept. You get to go mingle with the best athletes from their countries.
No doubt. Oh.
So we weren't sectioned off into like a little volleyball corner. In fact, they had a brand new campus that they had just built for the Pan American Games. And it was a bunch of like high-rise living spaces. And so we shared a suite with I believe the rugby sevens team, who I think they took third. Bunch of cool dudes. Dude. They're studs. Like rugby. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But anyway, I flew on some of the flights with them, all homies. But yeah, so that's like one of the cool things, right? Like you're literally like with these other athletes that are super cool, who are doing the same thing you're doing. You're in the village, you have dining hall 24 hours a day, you have laundry service, you have physios who, if you have something going on with your body, they're tending to you. And while you're getting worked on with physios, you're just meeting more athletes, and it's just such a rad experience. And then you have these pins, so we were sponsored by Nike both times I went to the Pan Am Games. And so we got a Nike package and free Oakleys, everything Team USA. So, I mean, like unreal, dude, unreal. On top of what USA Beach gave us, right? Like so fortunate, so grateful. But anyway, so you get these things and you also get these pins. And the pins are hot commodities in the village, right? So
tell me why.
So each country only has like a certain amount of pins that each athlete gets. And some people have really cool pins. So it's almost like, when you're a kid, you got trading cards, that kind of stuff. Same concept. So you want to get like the coolest pins and stuff. You're like, oh, I got this Brazil pin, I got Cuba, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, and then, you can just be walking and you see like a tall basketball player from like Argentina. You're like, yo, oh, do you have a pin? You have a pin? You know, like, oh no, USA, okay. And they don't even speak English, and you're just like trading pins and like hitting it off. Like, it's so cool. Or just like gorgeous women everywhere because they're just prime athletes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, I digress. But the athletes village, super cool. And then they take you to the venue. You get shuttled and you're on the bus oftentimes with your opponents, which is kind of funny because you're going to the matches together and stuff. But yeah, they have these like stands that they build. You're on TV. Both times our first matches were on ESPN, 2-0 on ESPN. And let's go.
Needed to have more of those, right?
That's right. That's right. Let's get volleyball back on ESPN. So, yeah, you play in these stadiums, sold out most of the time. Depends on, I can't remember how much Peru was, but Toronto in 2015, I feel like was a 5,000 person crowd, sold out the whole time, like just rowdy, good weather in the summer in Toronto is amazing. They're both amazing. So I think, you know, having the village, that was like one of the coolest things to be a part of, besides like, you know, obviously representing your country in the second biggest sporting event in the world. So
yeah, Toronto's also big on Chinese non-men too. They have a good team. I forgot the name of the team, and I only keep bringing it up because I don't know, like New York, New Jersey has like a big crew called Strangers, and when they brought it out to California, it was the first time they did it indoor because they usually do it in the parking lot somewhere, you know, in Chinatown, concrete hardtop.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with it.
So
yeah.
they did in 2016. They did it in the American Sports Center.
Right.
Yeah,
I recall that.
And Connex from San Francisco. I think played the team from Toronto. The name escapes me, but yeah, Peru sounds like fun and just the fellowship and the attitude
and the
and
food.
Yeah.
You've been to Lima?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, so I don't know if you guys know this, but from what I understand, ceviche is from Peru.
Right.
The stuff they have out there, obviously the best I've ever had. Incredible. And they have like this yellow kind of like curry sauce that they put on their like chicken and rice. Jeez. It's not really curry, but like
who cares what it is? It tastes good.
Yeah, the food out in Lima, amazing.
Did you ever have guinea pig?
Heck no, but Mark did.
Mark is like, I'll try anything once.
Mark and I have eaten a lot of really gross things. I could not do the guinea pig. Yeah,
I did the guinea pig, and I was just just call it chicken. Just call it chicken. Just call it chicken. You know.
Scale 1 to 10, how was it?
It was normal. It wasn't bad or good. It was just. It was like rabbit. It was like rabbit. 5. I'll go 5. I mean, I'm still a fickle, picky New Yorker, right? So, no, but I was there for an academic trip with Duke University. There were some people that wanted to take a look at some artifacts. So we for 11 days we hit up like 6 different cities in Peru. So we started with Lima, then we hit Cusco, then we hit Puno, then of course Machu Picchu was the big attraction there, and finished with Lake Titicaca. I hope I don't get flagged for this, man. Titicaca is a place. It's a city in Peru. So I'm not trying to get flagged for no profane language or no nonsense. Lake Titicaca is this place where people they make their islands out of straw. And they build enough straw where it floats, and then they build houses on top of these floating straw things. And they continue to maintain their house, they keep throwing straw. That's so crazy. The only way to get food or whatever, and you know, there's a guy that rides a boat, you know, sells Oreo cookies and this and that. It was just, I'm telling you, I went straight up deep country. Not like, look, Lima, like you said, there's the village and this and that, but I'm telling you, dude, I went straight up country. So I definitely at some point had, you know, that was included, but not limited to at least trying guinea pig. But Machu Picchu was awesome, dude. Like, if it's not your thing to like look at rocks that are 1,000 years old and be delighted by that, you can still get something out of it because it's not just rocks. It's how something was built. It's about construction. Go ahead. You got it? Yeah. It's about, oh my God, you definitely got it. It's about like, you can get a lot out of it aesthetically instead of being like this historian and appreciating it for what it's really, wink, wink, supposed to be worth. So, man, I'm so glad you came prepared. That bottle behind you is empty, so there's nothing I could do. There's a bottle over there, and that's a Mark Fornicari thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I bring my gallon
Yeah.
with me everywhere. But yeah, no, I think also, isn't it quite a hike to get to Machu Picchu? So, you can burn some calories doing that. And, the air is fresh.
Yes.
Living in LA, we got so much air pollution that
true.
You go to Machu Picchu, you get a little workout, get some fresh
breathing,
air. Nice little day in Peru.
Felt like William Wallace climbing up that thing from Braveheart, just kind of, trying to find the Highlanders who are ready to pick a fate. Pick a fate. I'm here to pick a fate.
I'm terrible at accents.
Well, didn't get all dressed
Don't
up.
ask me to
Didn't
do
get
it.
all dressed up for nothing.
Sound like Lev.
Yeah. Yeah, I could do Lev if I listen to him long enough, because my degree's in theater. So, you take a year of voice and speech, and I ended up taking 3, just understanding language and voice, speech, and practicum, which if you learn enough, you know how to tongue manipulation, and then if you listen enough and you imitate the sound, you can be that person.
That's wild.
I went to a whole party with an English accent. Everyone thought I was from England. I went to like this party, and they had karaoke. They had a karaoke machine in this party in New York.
With an accent.
Well, no, because the thing about British singers is their accent is American.
So did you sing with an American accent?
Of course. Like Phil Collins, in the Air Tonight, you don't think that's a Brit singing that.
Right.
You think that's some schmuck from Miami, Florida, who did it for Miami Vice. The movie or the television show, right? Because they're not like, if you, don't worry, I'll never forget. No, they're like, I'll never forget. It was the first time, the last time we ever met. None of that sounds UK.
Right.
Yeah. And yes, I learned different cities like Sheffield. I learned, Jamaica. I got a pretty good Jamaican accent, and at some point I'll do it. I'm just mad about my broken shades.
You got to put your hands in front of your face, dude.
Yeah. I'm on a ladder. No, because I'm doing blocking drills, and I got a block to my face. It wasn't even hard.
You were blocking?
No, I was teaching someone to block, and I was on a ladder on the step.
Oh yeah.
And I hit one, and he blocked, and it hit me back, and these things, it wasn't even that hard a shot. These things usually take a beating,
right.
and that sucks.
I got my
Jeff Samuels.
I got my Stafford goggles in the mail.
You do?
They're coming.
Good. But what do you like? What kind of shade? Do you like Oakleys, or do you like Viper? Or
worn Oakleys my whole career, but I'm thinking about switching over to the goggles.
I have Vipers. I have these too. These are Revos. These are awesome, dude. These are awesome just for coaching. Yeah, no, I look good in every pair of shades. I'm
Shush.
I'm here to see Sarah Connor. I am a friend of hers. I'll be back.
That's good.
So let's, one of the other things I wanted to talk about, because it just hit my desk yesterday, but the ceremony happened over the weekend. Kerri Walsh is in the International Volleyball Hall of Fame.
As she should. Yeah.
And in her class of 2022 has this. I mean, we're going to focus more on her, but I want to mention Poppy. He's been playing with the Italian team since he was 17. 2 bronze, 2 silvers. Wound up against Brazil twice, couldn't beat him. Right, I think 2004 lost in 4, and I think in 2016 lost 3-0. I think. It's weird to track, because if you look at like the last 5-6 Olympics, it's been Italy, Brazil, Russia, and sometimes the United States.
Yep.
It's always been and isn't it crazy that you think, oh, they have the same kind of training? You will not find the different levels of training to be more infinite than those 4 people that are all pitting their talent and their training together, which makes me just, us as players, like the fanboy comes out. I'm interested. Who wins? So, Kerri Walsh, I guess if there is a question, I always have this question about GOAT discussions. I have her in my top 3 greatest of all time. You could shuffle some people, but I think I'll go first. I like Kerri. I like Misty May. And those two can, depending on what mood I'm in, Kerri could be ahead of her and Kerri could be behind her, and it is what it is. But because I'm a little bit older, and if you ask the 2 of them, they will agree. First on my list is Jackie Silva. She's this Brazilian first openly gay player. She won the gold in the 2000, the first Olympics, 1996 in Atlanta. But and they were she was a half generation before those two, but those are my top three goats. But I know we're American people, but don't you have her in your top three greatest of all time list?
Yeah, if I'm being completely honest, I only have a top two, and it's them.
Yeah. Well, as far as teams are concerned, there's only one.
Right.
There's only one team that matters. The team that did it and didn't even make it look close. You know? I mean, April, the way her and Alex finished playing their volleyball at the right time, they made it look embarrassingly askew too, allows April to enter that conversation too. But at the end of the day, because I've been doing this for a long time, and because you have more experience in volleyball than a lot of people who have been coaching it, because you came out of the womb, right? You grew up in a volleyball culture. You went to Mira Costa High School. You went to Long Beach State University. So, like you said, when you said you were coaching for 10 years, I'm like, man, I call bull 10 years. But I got Kerri in my top three teams. There's nobody else. There's nobody else. So, went to Stanford, right? She went to Stanford University, broke all kinds of records there. People forget she has a fifth Olympics. She played indoor in the Olympics in 2000 in Australia. She was in that Olympics. So people forget she already had 5 Olympics. So she wasn't going for a 5th one. She's going for a 6th. Growing up and watching her play, I want you to say 1 or 2 nice things about her. I don't need to force your hand, really.
It's easy to do.
I want you to voluntarily say say 1 or 2 nice things about her that you thought kind of helped you, if kind of helped the sport. Hold on, Mark Fornicari, Satterfield gun show today. Good dude.
Just for you, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. Her mentality as a blocker, I thought was great for our sport. To see how hungry she was at the net every time, just like pursuing the attacker like a hunter and prey.
Yeah, you felt comfortable with her because it wasn't just a technique thing. It was a ruthless aggression where if you beat her on the block, it seemed like it was personal. Yeah, she was blocking like her kids, like her kids were playing defense behind her. You know, she ain't trying to get her kids hit.
That's right.
Yeah, so I like that, and I see you actually have some streaks like that too. You know, and I think for Kerri, like you said, I think whatever gets you into that mentality is only going to help you if you guys share that same personality. Because to some people, that's not sustainable for a whole tournament. She's a rare animal because that kind of high, where there's a high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big waves crash. You know, Fallon Funua-Moana, there's another Mira Costa girl, right? USC.
So good.
Fallon Funua-Moana was one of the only girls I knew that could start emotionally high and stay there. And as coaches, that's not what we teach our kids. We teach our kids small waves that you could ride from Manhattan Beach to Hermosa. Big waves, crash. Right? Big waves.
Huntington, just crashing.
Crash, yes. Huntington, there you go. Crash. But then understanding the animal. Because Fallon's we want to take her to the lab and we just want to dissect her and we want to experiment on her and we want to understand why that works for her. And I would, again, the reason why I don't tell everybody to be like Kerri is because I don't know if everybody has that same personality and that same mentality. And they don't necessarily have to have that personality and mentality to enjoy a level of success too. I'm just impressed that she found a way to be high, stay high, and never crash. That's my take for her from the neck up. From the muscles on the neck up. It's like, you don't even know her, are you, saying? And I'm like, this is what we do, Ian.
Right?
How do I know? This is what we
talking.
do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, listen, everyone talks about scientific studies and biomechanics and how your body's supposed to work. But I will say this, there is no better scientist for volleyball than the coach. Why? Because we've been in the lab the whole time. We've been in the lab and witnessed with our own two eyes what works and what doesn't. I remember Dane was on the podcast talking about, oh, throw one crap to a wall and see what sticks. I said, exactly.
Yep.
You make it sound unsavory, Dane. Exactly.
You can make it sound a little better. It's like spaghetti,
Yes.
seeing if it's al dente. But,
Regular, I guess.
just throw the mud on the wall, see if it sticks. There's my accent for you.
I had a my cousin Vinny flashback. That's why. He's like, "What'd you have for breakfast?" He's like, eggs and grits. Oh, I like grits. Do you like your grits regular, creamy, or al dente? He's like, regular, I guess. It's like, I don't know what the instant grits. Nah. I could definitely do one of those. Funny how am I funny? What do you mean funny? You know, I could definitely do that. So, yeah, congratulations to Kerri. Congratulations to Bernardo Bernardino, longtime Brazilian coach. He was with the women's team for a while, moved on to the men, won 2 gold with them, I think, 2004, 2016. Poppy, Italian team. Fernanda, longtime indoor player. Peter Murphy, don't really remember who he is, but he was I think he was a technical committee member of the Dutch Federation. He's an international guy. And Piotr June, first inductee in the para volley category. Big up to him. Big up to Lori Okamori, doing some good things for para volley, stuff like that. So I have a fun question.
Hit me.
Because you've been doing this for so long, I think you came in afterwards, but there's some people that were in this long enough to see rule changes, like actual, first hit being legal, right? The introduction of the libero, let serve rule, right? It's allowed to hit the tape, rally.
They had like 5 different net rule changes when I was in college.
Those are the worst.
Bro, you can grab the bottom of the net. You can't touch the net. You can go under. You can't go under.
Yeah. Well, as fate would have it, right? The volleyball gods decided to go back to any part of the net, and I'm glad because you shouldn't have to get clipped.
Why are you touching the net?
I mean, you got your guy, I got clipped. They're carrying him out on the stretcher, and the rest like, I got bad news. Your player's out for the game. What's the good news? You got the call.
Oh my gosh.
That's not what you should. Right? We agree. That's not what you should be. Should have to do to get the call.
Player safety, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
a lot of times when it's tight, I'm like,
yeah. So let's start actually a 60-second countdown clock.
Uh-oh. In the hot seat.
Let's see if it pops up. There it is. There's our 60 seconds. It's on the screen.
All right.
Give me one or two rules that you would like to see either changed back or changed to. The floor is yours.
Easy. Let serves. Treat them like tennis. Number 2. Hand setting. If it has spin, it's a double, unless it's top spin or back spin. If you take it below your chin and release it above your head, that's a carry. That's illegal.
He says, I will allot the rest of my time for Jason. Well, in light of the fact I didn't even start the clock, dude, I fell on that.
That was a bonus one. One.
So here's what I say. For me, all of the rules that I told you, let serve and all that stuff, all happened the same year, 2001. The introduction of libero, let serve, rally, and all that stuff, all happened the same year. So I don't like the libero position. It's gotten to this point where you just, at the lower level, you give it to her just because they're short and you feel sorry for them. I'm like, you might as well just give them their own short bus, for Christ's sakes. If they're good enough, let's up the substitution category from 6 Division 1 to 12, like everywhere else outside of Division 1. The second thing I want referees to understand how to educate new referees how the double hit works, because I want to revisit that. And I had ref Dave Carson on the podcast answering some tough questions. To me, Doc Vandermeer and Jeff, the 3 of us, picked up the phone, stood tall, and answered these questions. And he is the man for doing that, because most refs don't. Understand that a double is not how it comes out. Sorry, my time's up. Understand how it's not how a double comes out. It's how a double comes in. Because Phil can have a ball go in one hand, out the other. and it doesn't spin. And by your criteria, that's not a double. But by the
Now
referee's
that I
criteria,
think about it,
that's a double.
Yeah.
Because no one thinks about it that way.
Okay. The way I had explained to me this summer by a ref was that carries are determined by hand time on ball. My question...
Or discontinuation, right? No, sorry. No, you're talking about what the ref told you.
Carry.
No, go ahead.
This is just what a ref told me this summer at AVP event.
Right.
The reason why I asked was I was doing pepper warm up, right? And I set my partner like indoor open hand tip. And I was like, well, you know, everyone's doing cut shots or pokies. I was like, is that legal? You're not allowed to advance the ball across the net with an open hand tip, but are you allowed to just indoor
to one hand set it?
One hand set it.
Please, oh my God! Hold on, wait. For all of you listening,
yeah. What do you
call,
guys think?
call your friends on this podcast because we got a real answer for this one. Wait, let's sip. What the hell? You caught me by surprise because this is a question. This is guys. This is what we paid our money for. We got to get an answer to this.
What do you think?
So you want to ask me what I think first, then get the answer?
Of course. Did anyone?
My
ask
opinion.
Or say? Yeah.
It is my opinion that it should be legal. It is my reality that the refs have got together and made it illegal.
That would be a good guess. Did anyone have anything that they wanted to?
No, I want us to talk about it long enough before someone got maybe.
No,
Fornicari might have something to say about it.
That's cool. So, what I was told, and this is only just one ref, this doesn't mean that this is the rule, but from what I understand, this is the information that I was given. So, again, it comes down to the carry call is hand time on ball. And if you're not advancing the ball across the net, then you're able to legally, if it's fast enough, one hand, open hand tip, set your partner as long as the ball stays on your side. And
that's what I believe should be the rule.
Yeah.
I believe. Look, I have a big secret for you. Like, remember the whole double contact being legal for indoor? People were complaining like overhead sets were never legal until then, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. Overhead sets were legal. They were perfectly legal. You just weren't allowed to double them, and you weren't allowed to carry them. Mm-hmm. So before 2001, everyone thought, it was forearms only. That is demonstrably false. Under the rules, under volleyball rules in pictures, and under volleyball rules in videos that show you pictures. So here's what happened. The refs got together and decided we're going to call something. Because in tournaments where players have to ref each other, we want to let them off the hook of having to make calls. CBVA. Redirect was illegal because CBVA, most of the people that ref their games in their pool are each other. So they wrote it in their rule book. We're not doing it. We did away with it. In fact, they also wrote into their rules, no, they didn't do that. But the point I was trying to make was your argument and his argument is legal. But it's about what the referees are teaching each other, which is what we've come full circle. We just Kanye West that. We talked about something we thought had nothing to do with nothing, and we came back full circle. Well, you're a freaking genius, and I guess I'm from a kid from Brooklyn. But yeah, Ian, like something you brought up two very important points. One, side spin does suggest that it came in one hand and out the other. It might suggest a double. But the problem is the people catching and throwing the ball, they developed a technique that allows the ball not to spin. If you're a referee that's not watching how the ball's coming in and only watching the ball's coming out, you're not doing your job.
Yeah, I guess according to my definition, that would be a carry. Because if you are taking it in with your right hand and having it on your right hand long enough to release at the same time, physically, let's watch this.
Please.
This is a carry. And if you look at the rule book, from what I understand for FIVB events, as of like 4 years ago, any sort of downward motion is a carry. So all these guys that were doing this, illegal set.
Right. Well, here's the reality. outside of the rule.
Yep.
FIVB
That's right.
refs.
Practice versus
FIVB
theory.
refs forgive this, but they don't forgive starting here, and then when the ball comes here, bringing it lower and back up. You know, I'm sure sponsor might have had some issues in the beginning for the refs that didn't know her, or some of the refs, they know the player and they're like, all right, I'm not messing with her because I'm not trying to mess with the whole sport, you know. Very, very good point. Excellent point. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Please.
I've been called on a lot of sets by refs that have just never seen a set like I did. And I have it on video.
Yeah.
Where it just comes out super clean. But like, say it's like high tide coming into the pass, high, super spinny. And I'm just indoor, just
there
no
it
spin.
is.
But
Right.
they're like calling the whistle before I even touch it. Because they're like, oh, it's high spinny, it's going into the net. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm taking it over my right shoulder. If I take that over my head, I can't get that.
And now
leverage.
you're the victim of a double down call.
And I'm like, dude, that's like the best set you could have ever never called. Like, you know, so anyway, I got it all on film. But it's
No, but
just,
you go to the ref, you're like, all right, I'm interested. What was the call?
right. And they say like a double or something. They can't defend their call. I'm like, dude, it was, according to your rules, it was high and quick and in even contact and there was no spin. So what is the call? Why is that an illegal set? Because it was over my right shoulder? Like, just because it's not
It's a
over my
made-up
head
call.
doesn't mean it's illegal.
It's a made up call, just like indoor.
Because they never seen
indoor
it and freak out.
when people were good enough, the rare occasion someone's good enough to receive serve with their hands, they automatically call carry, even though the person who set the ball survived the criteria or evaded the criteria of what was supposed to be called a double or a carry.
Yeah, it's just classic argument of like how it is in practice versus how it is in theory, like when it actually happens versus just like what it says in the rule book.
But I think as long as they stay to how it comes in and not how it comes out, it's at least a start. And if they could agree on that, they can go. And again, I'm glad your guy was able to talk to you about it in private. I'm glad previous podcast, I almost got like 10,000 views because we called him. It was before Manhattan Beach and he was still setting up. And he picks up his phone and I'm like, hey, you're on the air because it was Doc I'm going to blame everything on Doc Vandermeer. Because when in doubt, he's so cute. You can't get mad at him. If it's my fault, you want to cancel me. But him, you can't cancel, Doc Vandermeer. So him, me, and Jeff in this room, put him on speaker. And he answered these really, really tough questions. And, hope he does well. He's at University of New Hampshire. He's got their men's team out there.
Sweet.
Dave Carson. And we know him. Always that Tim Robbins type smile from Shawshank Redemption. Like he knows something you don't. But if you stay with him, you'll find out. So, 60-second question. Give me three venues. You are on the clock again. Give me three venues that you enjoyed being at domestically or the world. Go.
Number one, Manhattan Beach, because I'm from there and it's just the best.
There's nothing in the
The
world.
stadium is incredible. The weather for the time of year for AVP is always the best. It's in August, and that's also like my birthday. Super biased opinion. Number two, man, I loved playing in New Zealand at Mount Maunganui, just having the beach courts right there, just some mountain scenery. It is awesome. New Zealand's incredible. And another one outside of the U.S., it's tough. It's tough because I don't want to like put one over the other. I played in the Australian Beach Tour finals with Dave McKenzie. They had like a 5,000 crowd sold out stadium that was super cool. I believe our matches are still up on YouTube, but played a really good team and lost in the finals. Dave McKenzie ended up tearing his bicep in the quarterfinal match. I always get so thrown off. I go on these like long stories.
No. It's bicep, torn bicep. You have to finish at least a sentence.
Well, the minute's out. We can't tell.
But in
the
a
people.
debate, you get to finish. Even in a debate, even in a presidential debate, you get to finish.
I got to come back for part two.
Maybe
part three. So anyway, we're playing these hometown heroes, these Australian Beach Tour champions. They won like 3 Australian Tour events, right? Playing them in the last match of day one, quarterfinal match, like evening match. All along the walls were this Australia at Manly Beach. incredible. There's locals just lined up all along the wall, just heckling us and just like watching the match. Randy Stoklos just happened to be there because he was like doing a surf trip. And
Rolo Vincent.
and he's like just hopping into the event and doing commentary and stuff, like just because he was around. Yeah, it's so cool. And so he was watching our match, and I want to say is halfway through the second set. There was a ball that the defender just absolutely waffled, like spatched it so hard past me angle. He was doing your classic one defense in the seam. He goes like this, and it just nails him right here. And after the play, he was like, oh.
This don't feel right.
And Dave McKenzie, mind you, is one of the strongest volleyball players I've ever met, if not the strongest.
Not to mention his high threshold for pain.
Not to mention his high threshold for pain.
Yes.
So when he's like, it kind of hurts, that doesn't feel good, I'm like, well, the guy hit the poop out of that ball, so I would imagine it would hurt. Not knowing the damage that it did. So we continued to play that match out, and we went to 3 sets. And we were down 14-8. Against the hometown heroes. And we came back and won 16-14.
14-8.
Yeah, Randy Stoklos left when we got to like 10-14. He was like, I didn't think you guys would do it.
No, because to Randy, whoever reaches 5 in the third set wins.
Well, yeah, that was it. He said that even during the finals, something like 5 or 8. I don't recall, but I do know that everybody wrote us off except for us. And so we came back and won. Yeah, I was float serving, and their defender just, for whatever reason, couldn't side out until we won. So,
yeah,
just had faith. So anyway,
that's a hell of a story. 14-8?
14-8. Yeah.
Think of all the things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
They serve it. They hit a ball. It hits the tape.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
they hit a ball that's long. You think it's long. It hits the line. Jumps. It hits like the back. Think of all of the things that could have gone wrong. For them to get that last point.
I'll put it to you this way. They all happened, but on their side of the net.
Don't know if Randy was a jinx, but Randy, you left and they won. Yeah.
So anyways, he continued to play the rest of the tournament with a torn bicep. So, yeah, the guy had a torn bicep. We ended up going to 3. We won the first set in the finals, and then I'm pretty sure I gassed out, and he had a torn bicep. So, we couldn't really do a ton, and they were playing great. Like, all credit to them. They beat us outright, but, like, I felt like we definitely had an opportunity to beat them if we closed them out in set 2.
But this is a high venue moment, and that definitely required more than 60 seconds. I'm glad you told that story. Dude.
Yeah. Appreciate you let me continue that. But yeah, you're on Australian TV, and you got stadiums. But that's for beach.
Yeah, I love me some Randy, dude. Randy actually did color commentary with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Manhattan Beach, last year, calls me up, said let's you do play, I do color, and we run it on your live stream on NY Varsity.
Perfect.
Me and the guy that I'm usually the color commentator, but I'm like, I can't think of a better person to punt the analytical to. Right. And everyone on my feed is like, no, seriously, that's Randy. That's not like someone because I pull tricks on people sometimes. They're like, that's really Randy, right? And I'm like, yes, it's Rolo Vincent. so big up to him. And also when we left, he's like, I know you're having some trouble getting some commentating gigs out here. Don't stop doing what you're doing. You have what it takes. This is you. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Because sometimes it gets a little dark. That hour gets a little dark, and sometimes you have self-doubt and this and that. But
100%, dude. Yeah. It's kind of like that meme, right? With the minors, the 2 minors, the guy on top, the guy on the bottom. The guy on the bottom's so close. He's just a little sliver away from the diamond that's on the other side.
Can you appreciate?
But he turned around and started walking away while the guy on top continued and got the gold.
Can you appreciate why the people who do break through that are, you have such emotional investment? Like when Scholes played with Urango. That was Atlanta, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
When she won, when Urango won, how many people do you think took that journey with her? How many people do you think that were like happy for her?
So many, countless.
She's not an extroverted person, but she did the last few tournaments allow herself to open up and like wear her heart on her sleeve a little bit on the court and this and that. And that allowed some of the fans to follow her. So they see a second here, they see a second place finish there. And I'm a cold fish. So because I'm going to look at something and I'm going to see it for what it is. Okay, Urango. You know, she's all woman and she's respected, but silver medalist, runner up, second best. But I took the journey with her at the same thing. I had Eric Baranek on the podcast. Same thing. He was like, when she won, who could have been more happier for her besides Eric,
right?
Than guys like you, me, who you've seen her play. You worked maybe at some point worked with, against, or whatever.
Practiced with her.
Yeah,
right.
She's one of our own that got a chip. You know what I'm saying? And I feel for
right.
that.
You know, she's been so good for so long, you know, and that just goes back to your point. You know, she kept with it and got the gold.
Yeah. And I hated to sound cold about that, but I was like Ric Flair. Woo! Runner up, silver medalist, second best. Not anymore. Gold Series champ.
Yeah. You could also look at Never Trevor, which is now back to back Trevor.
Well, Trevor, once you win one with Reed Pretty, it was only a couple of years into the Pro Tour, and win and get your name etched on the boardwalk, which, by the way, he's the only one on his family, right? Right? Taylor had his shot a year ago. A year before. No,
I witnessed him front row when I was in the back.
It was against Phil and Nick, right? He got the dig, and man, his eyes got big, and he hit it. And there was no one within 15 feet playing defense against it, and it went out. And there was a part about you, the energy left you, because you're like, Phil saw that and's like, I got to get serious and win. Because you didn't you in your heart of hearts thought that was it?
I thought it was it.
Yeah.
Seal the deal, and then just out. Oh, it was hard to watch.
Yeah. And here's Trevor. You know, one with Reed, one with Tri.
It's awesome. I mean, I went to school with both of them, so I'm stoked for both of them.
Yeah,
I just want to.
Well, Tri went to SE.
Do a little better so I can catch up.
No doubt. Hey, well, you're still young. Your volleyball peaks right now because you guys have found a way to be immune to old age. I wouldn't be surprised if the new peak is like
that to you.
I wouldn't be surprised if the new peak is 36.
I mean, look at you. You moved here and you got 15 years younger.
So true, dude. So true. I've always been in shape, but I had a pit bull face. But now I got this handsome, drop dead, gorgeous mug, and it's really hard to say in front of you because we both know Mark Burek, and there's not a better clean chin than that guy.
Oh my goodness. I can't even think of his facial hair because all I think of is his ridiculous mullet mohawk he had and then Viking haircut he had when we played, and all I did was try to get him to cut it. Just never did it. Kind of like Rafi and his beard. Clean it up, dude.
It doesn't work unless it's a fro. This thing right here is this is a fro. It's a big fro too. It's batting it down. So let's finish up with one more lightning round.
All right. I got to be better at these lightning rounds. I'm doing like a lightning storm round.
It gets worse. It gets worse because this one are just random questions and quick answers.
All right, I got to do like 5 seconds or less. Let's go.
Strap yourself in. Ready? All right, so where's the clock? And there it is. So lightning rounds. Best conditioned partner you ever played with?
Miles Evans.
The most angry player you ever played with?
DR.
The player you look forward to playing the most?
Against? Andy Benesh.
Your go-to food?
Quinoa.
Freeze or no freeze?
No freeze.
Freeze or scoring freeze or no freeze?
No freeze.
No freeze, got you. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
Shakespeare or Scorsese?
I don't really.
Okay.
NA.
All right. There you go. Favorite comedian?
Dave Chappelle.
My man. You my dude. Last good book you've read?
Right now, I'm going through Bulletproof Diet by Dave Asprey.
The easiest thing that translated from indoor to outdoor, fundamentally?
Hitting.
The hardest thing?
Transition setting.
There it is. You did it. Look, last
Oh my
good book
gosh.
you read, we knew I had to take some time because we don't read.
Yeah, I was like, well, there's a few books, but yeah.
Talk to me about your food again. The food you like.
Yeah, so that's actually a process I'm trying to figure out right now. I usually just try to get like a decent amount of all my macros, whether it's protein, carbs, and fats, and I try to get my fats through good fats, whether it's nuts and like
Avocado.
Kerrygold butter, MCT oils,
Dark chocolate. Yeah.
I stay away from sugar, but yes, that is a great choice. And
Yeah.
there's also, brain benefits to eating dark chocolate as well as the antioxidants. But again, I kind of stay away from sugar.
Or aphrodisiac myth. Yeah.
There is that too. Maybe I should eat more chocolate, dark chocolate. No, I'm just kidding. And then
It's love potion number 9. Girls start following you. Look ahead.
Yeah. All right, dark chocolate all over me. So I also try to eat like fish at least, I don't know, once a week, but like always wild caught, never farmed.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'll try to do red meat once a week, a steak.
Very important.
Yeah. Again, trying to do like farm to table, grass fed, no hormones, GMOs, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and then I really got to get better at my veggies. So I'll eat like baked veggies and stuff, but like green drinks have been my go-to from different spots.
Right. No, I was on a carnivore diet for 2 months just to try it out, and it was absolutely fun. My neurological addiction got me back on pasta, whatever, this and that. But the 2 months, I lost like 11 pounds.
Wow.
My energy shot through the roof because, like steak, salmon, you get your B12, you get your, especially salmon, like 1 square of salmon is like 600 units of vitamin D, not to mention omega-3,
Right.
not to mention
so
all
many
these things.
pros.
So, and I think if I'm going to be serious again and get my stuff together, I'll probably just go carnivore again. I talked to a bunch of people. I had someone on the podcast, Dr. Bart Kay, has 6 advanced medical degrees on epidemiology, but also general nutrition and exercise science. A British guy, lives in New Zealand now, but he's making his money trolling vegans. That's what he does. He goes on YouTube and he takes these clips about vegans criticizing why meat is bad for you, and he freezes it. Wrong again. There is no study for that.
It's a very
There's a
interesting
podcast you got to
debate.
listen
Yeah,
to,
that's
dude.
Yeah.
This, oh my God, he's not for everybody, but I appreciate you taking care of the stuff off the court that maximizes your potential to be an athlete. For you, it's just about, as long as you have that, the things that you're worried about mentally start to disintegrate. Because you're like, wait, I feel like I can do anything I want. You ever come out of an MMA class, you leave the class thinking like, I could kick anybody's. You're next, come here,
Oh,
So it's very much like my, I could choose a better description, but very much like that. The physical does help the mental some,
For sure. And
Yeah.
I am going to kind of quote Miles Evans here on that. I thought that's a great point that you bring up. And he talks about when you're in a match, right? Say you have 2 equally matched teams, but physically one team has been putting in the work and one team has not.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, that team that's been putting in the physical work has a little bit of an edge above that team that doesn't put in as much work, because whether it's in your conscious or your subconscious, it's in the back of their minds that, whoa, those guys are more jacked than me, or like taller than me, or jump higher than me, right? So it's in their head, whether they admit it or not. You can't hide it. It's how much attention do they give that, right? But if this hypothetical situation, mentally, Miles and I believe, and I could be misquoting him, but the team who puts in that work is going to have the mental advantage over the team that doesn't.
Yeah, and you'll see it in these games. And I'll be more specific about the type of game. Ian, championships are not won by blowouts. They're won by 2-point victories. Right? Like you
Absolutely.
said, everybody trained up to the gills. It's 20-20. And I don't mean John Stossel. I don't mean Barbara Walters. I mean, literally, the score is 20-20. And, yeah, maybe someone hit that ball because they didn't have an ounce of doubt in that moment. They didn't see 2020. They saw 1-1. Maybe because they did more reps, they were able to do something. And this is freaky because sometimes when you have these games, there's always something, a move that someone does that they didn't even practice,
Right.
but because of their confidence, they were able to improvise. One of my favorite plays ever in volleyball was the 2000 gold medal match of Russia and Serbia Montenegro. Gerbic and Gerbic are brothers. One's a setter, one's an outside hitter. Ball goes off a digger, sails into the crowd. The outside hitter is playing left side, jumps over the barricade, which is legal until he lands.
Okay.
Brings it back, and then gets back on the court and blocks the opposite.
Oh my God.
And blocks the opposite. It's not hard to find on YouTube because it's the play of a lifetime.
I bet that crowd was electric. That's
yes,
crazy.
and the commentators were too. Wait, that was the same guy that we thought we lost.
Right.
And
the
it's
center on that team's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's wide open. He's not
Yeah.
there. The hitter's like, I have an open net.
and I know what the oppo was thinking.
Right.
It might have been it was sound Volkov was a middle. His name doesn't matter. I'm sure that they were thinking, did the fans throw him back? Did he throw him back? Did the fans like
a trampoline?
They mosh pit him, mosh pit him, I always have that feeling like Taylor Crabb when he goes to like these places and wants to visit new bars or whatever. Like I'm teasing Taylor a little bit and I'm being funny randomly, but when he lost to Ospina and Lotman in Austin in 2019.
Oh, I'm familiar with that tournament.
Everyone was thinking, all of the guys here at a bar with like mosh pit and carried him in and threw him on. They had like this imagination, not a literal thing, like this imagination, like they mosh pit and just threw him on the court and he's like, oh, volleyball. Like in people's like vivid imagination of what they think he is. And I give myself permission to tease Taylor because I know that man's disciplined. I know when it comes to his trade and his craft, you never see him late for anything. You never see him not meet his media obligations. You always see the professionalism that comes with someone on a level that's beyond his years. Very much like you. You have this maturity that comes way beyond your years. You're supposed to have more hippie in you than I thought, but you really don't. So yeah, you are a Californian that has this stuff together.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there any like Insta handle or whatever? People want to know more about Ian Satterfield, your website. They want to know about Ian. I'm a fan of his. How can we get him to play with the New York Strangers? How can I be down? How can I get to know Ian Satterfield? Tell him.
Yeah, for sure. So I have an Instagram. It's at Ian IAN _ Satterfield SATTERFIELD. If you ever want to like reach out to me with questions or if you want to like set up coaching sessions or whatever, feel free to reach out. We'll talk about it. But yeah, Instagram, and I have iansatterfield.com, which is kind of just like has like
a home
tournaments.
base.
Yeah, home tournaments, schedule, kind of like stuff that I do outside of volleyball and just a little bit of background information.
Also, let's ask this guy about his color commentary. We were talking about that before the podcast.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
Dude, you had
India.
like 8 million views on your thing in India.
It's crazy. So India was awesome. All of our matches.
We have to talk, please.
If we have time.
Let's make time, dude. To hell with that.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I guess I'll go back a little bit. So cricket is the #1 sport in India. And
Hands
all
down.
the other sports are fighting for the next few positions. So volleyball is very, very popular in India, and now they're creating organized professional leagues out there. So I was fortunate enough, thank you to David Lee for being my first point of contact for all of this, getting involved in the first ever Rupe Prime Volleyball League put on by 823. So our matches were broadcasted on Sony Sports Network, and I was big. It is pretty cool. Just having the name itself is pretty cool. And probably like, I don't know, about 6 matches into the season, just total matches, not for just our team. I had done color commentary a couple times. And I'm riding the bus home with all the other commentators, and the guy's like, oh, great job, like whatever. And he's like, how many people do you think are watching, right? And I'm like, it could be like 50,000. He's like, guess more. Okay, like 150,000.
Yeah, you're like, wait, India's more popular, so maybe there's more people.
Right. Yeah. And it's the first ever, season of this and whatever. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. And he's like, try like 18 to 20 million people watching your guys' matches per night. I was like, I'm so glad that you didn't tell me that before our first match. Oh man.
There's wow.
Yeah. So that was such a crazy experience, and it was a ton of fun. So doing color commentating for being the expert for indoor volleyball with a couple awesome co-hosts, and just giving feedback and having fun on the mic with my people around me is really cool.
In the presence of how many million again? I need you to say that again for the podcast.
Yeah, so on average, our matches were about 20 million viewers on TV. The end of season statistics were, I believe, 41 million independent viewers on television and 43 million streaming.
Good Lord. You know what? To hell with, I'm going to India, man. Hell, dude, I've been doing this wrong this whole time, Ian.
It's sick. That was just their first season. I would imagine 5 years from now, that league's going to be insane.
They'll be calling you back, too.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I would play, but I would maybe coach a team.
Okay, well, if they're looking,
my body wants to just play beach.
Let them know. If they're looking for someone who's got the gift of gab, tell them you know a guy. Because David Lee, tell everybody where David Lee went to school.
David Lee also went to Long Beach State.
Yeah, okay, you incestuous mother freaker. Okay.
So
you know what? Dave said he knows a guy, right? Tell them you know a guy.
Right.
I ain't go to Long Beach State. I went to school for acting. And by the way, if I knew the program I was in, that auditioning, if I knew that they were ranked 2 in the country, I would have had the exact same feeling you had, knowing that all these people were watching. I'd be crazy. I would have choked, or maybe, question of fact, who knows? Yeah. But wow, I wanted to get that in because you were doing some really important things, not to mention fun things, because fun's a common denominator. Everything else is like icing on the cake.
That's right.
Yep. All right, so hey guys, Ian Satterfield might love you, but I don't know if I don't think I like any of you guys. In fact, no, I can't stand any of you guys. In fact, we are out of here, all right? So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPhones, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world, old school, baby, old school, for my man, Ian Satterfield. Ian's in the house. I'm Jason DeBiss. This is episode 155 of the Option Podcast. We're going to play my music and take that headset off. And we're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.